there's a concept called yin and yang, and when you go to taekwondo classes, you see that symbol too. Shamefully, I think our Korean flag has that symbol too, but then there's a yin and yang symbol. Now this yin and yang symbol is kept by Easterners, such as Taoism, Confucianism, and there are lots of other religions. They believe in the concept which they call duality. That's what they call duality. Or what the more easier term, yin and yang. You know, you see a white and a black, right? Swirl together. So basically they call it light and dark. So in order for all of us to exist, this universe to exist, there has to be white, or light, and black, darkness. So there is both good and bad. See, good and bad. Positive and negative. That's how they argue. They argue that that's how our universe has to exist. Without that balance, we cannot even exist. And they give up examples. A battery has both negative and positive. We have darkness and we have light. See, that's how our world exists. We have female and male. That's how we exist. Duality, two things. We have a passive and we have an active. And there's also the moral concept of good and evil. That's how we exist. That's why we have to exist. This is why we Christians don't believe in the yin and yang concept. The problem with that is this. About the doctrine of their teaching of duality or yin and yang, they believe that opposite elements, which include good and evil, that has to exist so that we can all exist. So they argue this: without evil, then we cannot exist. There has to be good and evil so that there is a good balance in our world. But you know what they're doing then? What you're justifying murder. You're justifying stealing. You're justifying rape and other evils. You're justifying them saying, we need those elements so that we can exist today. No, you don't. No, we don't, okay? I prefer the Garden of Eden. I prefer going to heaven, friend, okay? We don't. Now, here's the thing, is that how they argue, a lot of people nowadays, they try to come up with sly words to go around it. How they argue is this, is that what they argue is that, well, this yin and yang concept, the duality, this is a Western idea of mistake. Westerners don't understand what we true Easterners believe about yin and yang. What Westerners mistake as good and evil for yin and yang, what Taoists and other Eastern religious people believe are that morals, that good and evil, are what we perceive. They're not real. So in other words, in your view, you see this white thing as good and this black thing as evil. So it's not literally, it's not really good and evil, it's just how you view it as good and evil. And that's how they get around with it. They always use technical words, philosophical ideas, and ways to get around it. But then here's how we can answer against that argument, okay? They say, oh, this is just a Westerner mistake by Westerners, you know? Well, I'm an Easterner speaking here, so I'm sorry, you can't use that on me, all right? But aside from that, let's put it that way, okay? Let's put it that way, that the yin and yang concept, okay? White and black, okay? What Westerners think, white good, black evil, okay? Then here's my question, okay? Here's my question. They argue you have to have that balance for the universe to exist, those two opposite elements, okay? If you think that when I say that's evil, that's how Westerners perceive, then my question to you is this: then what is murder? Is that good and evil, or how you perceive it? How you view it? Or is it really evil, which I'm sure all of you Easterners will say? What is stealing then? What is rape? Now here's the thing, okay? It doesn't change the fact this, okay? Whether you call murder, stealing, and rape evil or not, or a Western word for evil or not, it doesn't change the fact this. It doesn't change the fact that those Eastern religions, they argue that those elements, okay, murder, stealing, and rape, are necessary elements for black to maintain the balance of the universe, whether we call it evil or not. They still argue that's necessary for the balance of the universe. You see that? They just don't want to use the word evil. See, they try to go around that. But let's not even use the word evil, okay? It doesn't still change the fact that they're still saying that murder, rape, and stealing is a necessary element in the balance of the universe. You see that? Now, let's use a second case right here, okay? Let's use a second case. Because they argue everything that we do in life that has opposites is absolutely necessary for us to exist. That's what they argue. Here's the second thing, okay? Would you approve a murder if a murder was brought in front of the court of law, okay? And then the judge, he found him guilty, and he said, you're guilty according to the court of law. What you did was wrong. And then the family, the victim's family, they were hurt by the murderer's action because this murderer raped and brutally tortured the victim's family's daughter, for example. And then the judge passed a sentence, all right? Now, would it be sane, would it be logical for the murderer, after the judge thinks it's evil and everybody around the room thinks it's evil, if that murderer said, well, you know, I'm actually a Taoist, and that's just your perception of evil, what I did. Would that stand? Yeah. No. The victim's family, they're going to feel hurt, right? Yeah. What do you mean? That's how I perceive it's evil. It is evil. You killed my daughter. You see? You see this Eastern ideology that goes like with words and philosophy and technical terms. It actually comes to stupidity in the end. Right. You see? It's stupidity in the end. That's just your perception of evil. The Western perception of evil. But in my perception, it's not evil. Will that stand? No, it won't stand at all. You know? They're going to think that that guy's stupid. All right? So you see that you can't use that. That's a lame argument to say that, oh, that's just how Westerners perceive as good and evil. Then what is murder? Then what is rape if we're not going to call it good or evil? You know, what are we going to call that? Here's another thing you got to think about, okay? There might be some Easterners that might say, well, when we talk about yin and yang, black and white, we're not even including morals at all, good and evil, okay? We're not including that. We're just saying about negative and positive, light and dark, female and male, passive and active, those kind of opposite elements. We're not including the opposite element, good and evil. If they do that, which some of them might, because they're going to have to do that if they want to keep yin and yang, see? They're going to have to do that to keep yin and yang. If they do that, which I highly doubt, but even if they do that, guess what? Their universe will not exist. You know that? What do you mean, Pastor? Because what Eastern religions teach is this. Everything in our universe is built upon the cycle of reincarnation. Yeah. That's how our universe is built. Without reincarnation, there is absolutely no universe. And guess what the system of reincarnation depends upon to go higher in the ladder or lower in the ladder? How good you live and how evil you live. You see that? So they have to include good and evil for their yin and yang concept of the existence of the universe. Because if you take out good and evil, guess what? You take out reincarnation. And when you take out reincarnation, you take out the existence of the universe. And you take out Taoism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and all the other Eastern religions. You see that? See, they have to put, whether they like it or not, they have to put good and evil in the duality or yin and yang concept. You see that? So you notice right here that Eastern religions, it is built on irrationality and it is not even logical. And guess what? We didn't even turn to one verse of scripture at all even. And if we looked at the scriptures will have a lot more to say about duality. So you see right here, you can't build upon Eastern religions like that. If an Eastern religious person is not going to believe you when you open up the Bible, just point those things out. And if he is rational and if he is sane, he would realize this Eastern religion, there is a problem, to be honest. It doesn't make sense. So we see right here how Eastern religions, that it cannot stand, that it is actually wrong.